Welcome to Gold Silver Pros.
Hey everybody, this is Rob Kientz of 𝘎𝙏𝙊𝙍𝑃ros.com. This is November 21st, 2023 weekly market wrap up. And as I warned last week, there's not going to be a whole lot of data available in terms of what's going on in the economy. So we're not going to talk a lot about the data points. And I'm only going to show you a single chart with regards to gold and silver this week, and that's going to be the COT report. I'll explain the reason why gold and silver are going up right now. It's pretty easy to see. And then most of what I'm going to spend my time on is stories, because damn it, there are stories going on all over the place. And during a week in which many of us are very thankful about what's going on, spending time with family, thinking about all the warm, wonderful things, warm fires we're going to have in food and family this week, the shit's hitting the fan all over the place. So it's going to be a bit of a splash of cold water on you guys today, but I got to do it. Just a couple of data points from last week's data. The small business optimism index is about the same as last month, 90.7. The consumer price index, the government's measure of monetary inflation, went down from 3.7% year over year last month to 3.2% year over year. 2 months ago to the 3.2%. So it fell 0.5%. Looks like a little bit of deflation. I think that's brought on by just less demand in the economy. When we get to the stories, you're going to understand why. However, that's not an end to the inflation. I think it's a baby step where inflation is going to hit us raging here pretty quickly. And I'll explain why I think that's the case. The producer price index is also down. Producers are paying less by about 0.5% less than what they were the previous month. Retail sales are starting to fall off again, negative 0.1%, which if you look at Black Friday and this time of year, this is when retail sales should be up. And I think that's a lot of why gold is up and the stock markets are down right now, is because retail sales are soft, leading into the busiest time of retail season in the year historically in the United States every year. The manufacturing survey is up. The Empire State, the New York one, is up 9.1 to 9.1. Last month, it was negative 4.6. So there is a little bit of manufacturing going on. And that's about it. Capacity utilization is at 79.5. It ticked up a little bit, meaning we're producing a little bit more, but we're still 20 points off of our capabilities as a nation and what we can produce. And that's even with a massive amount of unemployment. So if we got people, if we got manufacturing back and got people reemployed and all of those things, we could solve a lot of our problems by manufacturing our way out of them, or at least soften the damage that's going to be done. But we're headed into a deep recession, I believe. And the numbers don't necessarily point that out, but the news does. We're going to talk about the stock markets. Everything's down today because of soft retail numbers. The bond market, the 2 and 10 year indexes are the yield curve inversion is growing again. I'm going to read you what those are here in a minute. And also because of some news around Binance, the crypto market's going down. But the 2-year bond is sitting at 4.881. The 10 year is at 4.41. And those rates have widened just a bit. So we're back to a wider yield curve inversion, meaning the amount of risk in the immediate term, people see that as being higher than the risk in the long term. And that's always been a sign of recession. And when it goes for 6-8 months like it has, it's 100% preceded a recession. So it's a good indicator. Markets are down. Gold is up. The dollar's down overall the last couple of weeks, but it's actually up, in the last couple of days. And retail sales are soft. The word coming out of the Fed, if you look at the meeting minutes, they were hawkish minutes. They warned of a fading consumer, financial system stability risks. The dollar's tumbled over 3% since the beginning of the month, and stocks, bonds, and Bitcoins are all a little bit higher. The rate changes the consumer and the retail market expects that the Fed is done cutting because of the what's going on in the economy. They believe everything's fine, essentially. Or fine enough to where we're going to get back to expanding again. And I think they see the oncoming recession. They want the Fed to expand. They want the Fed to go back to QE. I'm not so sure the Fed's going to do that. Especially comments from the chairman are that he's not sure that inflation is controlled. Powell's not sure that inflation is controlled. So a lot going on there. Let's head over to Binance and why the crypto complex is trading down today. Headline from CNBC: Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao to plead guilty to federal charges and step down. Quote, the U.S. Department of Justice has brought criminal charges against Binance and its billionaire founder and CEO, Changpeng Zhao. The former Binance chief will personally plead guilty to violating and causing a financial institution to violate the Bank Secrecy Act, according to the plea agreement. The U.S. DOJ said in its filing Tuesday that Binance knowingly and willfully caused the supply of services to Iran in breach of U.S. sanctions. This is from a CNBC story on their front page today. A quote from CNBC: Binance chief 𝘎𝙏𝙊𝙍 will plead guilty to criminal charges and step down as the company's CEO as part of a $4.3 billion settlement with the Department of Justice, according to court documents. The plea arrangement with the government resolves a multi-year investigation into the world's largest crypto exchange. Xiao and others are charged with violating the Bank Secrecy Act by failing to implement an effective anti-money laundering program and for willfully violating U.S. economic sanctions and a deliberate and calculated effort to profit from the U.S. market without implementing controls required by U.S. law, according to the Justice Department. The former Binance chief will personally plead guilty to violating and causing a financial institution to violate the Bank Secrecy Act, according to the plea agreement. The DOJ is also recommending that the court impose a $50 million fine on Xiao. Xiao was scheduled to appear before Judge Brian Tushita for a hearing in Seattle courtroom at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Binance will continue to operate, but with new ground rules. They're going to have an independent person making sure that they're doing U.S. anti-money laundering or AML laws. The case against Binance, which was unsealed on Tuesday, shows the exchange faces 3 criminal charges, including conducting an unlicensed money transmitting business, violating the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, as well as a conspiracy charge. And essentially, if you go on to read the details, they were operating in areas which they didn't have license to operate in, and they were doing a lot of business with Iran in violation of some restrictions for the U.S. government. So basically, Binance is in trouble. Right now, they're trading okay, given the bad news. But overall, I expect this to really affect both Binance and the outlook on other crypto services and exchanges and the crypto market in general. And that's why the crypto market is down today. Going on to more news, high-end retailers face downturn as wealthy Americans cut back on spending. So this headline from Zero Hedge, and it says, I'll do a quote here real quick, and then I'll give you my opinion. As Black Friday looms, quote from Zero Hedge, a concerning trend has emerged. Affluent Americans are cutting back on spending, a shift which signals potential trouble for an economy reliant on robust customer expenditure to ward off recession. According to Bloomberg second measure data of debit credit card transactions by U.S. consumers, in the 3 months leading to the holiday season, a collection of retailers serving the upper middle class, such as Apple, Coach, and Nordstrom, experienced the steepest sales declines in 2 years. This data, derived from Bloomberg's second measure, also reflects a downturn in affluent mall traffic, contradicting the general uptick in retail sales figures. On Tuesday, Best Buy Co. and Lowe's companies cut their forecasts and warned that shoppers were pulling back on big-ticket items like appliances ahead of the holiday season. And Kohl's Corp reported its 7th straight drop in comparable sales as a partnership with Sephora drew in customers but didn't spur them to spend more money on other items in the stores. Even positive results at some retailers left investors wanting more. Shares slumped at Abercrombie, Fitch & Co. and American Eagle Outfitters, according to Bloomberg. I said this was coming. I said the wealthy were spending less money. People didn't really believe me. I said the government numbers on retail spending were probably not 100% trustworthy because they didn't reflect the fact that there was a pullback in spending. I own a retail shop, and I can tell you right now, people were buying less gold and silver. Sales in the last month have been very thin compared to what they were the previous 2 months, both on our online and in-store sales. Now we're doing okay, but overall sales are low. I've talked with many wholesalers. I had one wholesaler actually drop by my shop and tell me, he was the head trader for that major wholesaler here in Dallas, and said, we're so pregnant with them. He used the term, we're so pregnant with inventory right now. He said, I'll drop ship to any of your customers, and so I can drop ship you guys anything you need at just above wholesale prices. So a quick plug, if you want precious metals, I had that deal with a couple of wholesalers where I can get it for you and don't even have to carry it in the store. I can have it sent to you. You go to our website and click on volume pricing. I've got the volume pricing discounts there. We're extremely competitive. We beat most of the big major online retailers, and we're neck and neck with the stingiest ones in terms of price. And for me as a small retailer to do that is because I've just built these relationships over time and run on a shoestring in the store. It allows me to keep my costs down and offer you that deal. So if you're interested, just a plug for our store. Okay, getting back to the news. The high-end retailers are in serious trouble. Even in precious metal sales are down. I'm going to trade shows and sales are down. I went to the gun show in Fort Worth and sales were down. I asked at least 20 different retailers there. Sales are down everywhere. Nobody's spending as much money. The consumers are tapped out. They don't have it. Credit card debt is going up. And when you see the wealthy starting to pull back, you know that the stuff has already hit the fan in the middle and the lower class. And when the wealthy start to pull back, that means we have some trouble, because remember, even a lot of the wealthy are all leveraged up on either credit cards or loans, student, those types of things. Even though they're wealthy in income, doesn't mean they're wealthy in terms of their what I want to call it, their net wealth, what they actually have, assets and income above liabilities and debt. Some of them do. The most upper wealthy don't carry a lot of debt unless it's in terms of corporations. It's not personal to them. They have good incomes. They have income producing assets. They have lots of stability assets, like gold and silver, real estate, those types of things. So they're doing okay, but only the top echelons of the wealthy have that. Most of the other wealthy are wealthy in name only, in terms of if their asset value falls, they're in trouble. If they lose their income, they're in trouble, because they still have debt and they still have a lot of outgoing payments. A lot of people are leveraged to the hilt. If you're not, consider yourself more wealthy. So wealth to me is in terms of how long can you live without an income, and how long can you survive? And many people that seem wealthy on the outside because of what they drive around and what they live in are actually in more dire straits. And I think we're going to see some high-end bankruptcy foreclosures. We've seen news recently about how people in Hollywood cannot sell their mansions, at 50 million, maybe it's 32 million, or maybe it's not selling at all. So a lot of the high-end real estate market's already been in trouble. Valuations on high-end arts and collectibles are sort of stagnating. So there's a lot of signs that the high end of the market is in trouble. And I've warned that we're about to hit the recession. We're going to hit it hard, and it's going to hit everyone, and more signs that that's coming. Another article, Best Buy issues warning ahead of Black Friday, consumer demand unpredictable and inconsistent. Chief Executive Cory Barry said, quote, "We're reporting better than expected profitability on slightly softer than expected revenue for the third quarter. These results demonstrate our ongoing strong operational execution as we navigate through the near-term sales pressure our industry has been experiencing in the last several quarters. However," Barry warned, "in the more recent macro environment, consumer demand has been even more uneven and difficult to predict. Based on the trends in Q3 and so far in November, we believe it is prudent to lower our annual revenue outlook. The midpoint of our annual non-GAAP diluted earnings per share guidance is slightly higher than the midpoint of our original guidance as we entered last year." In other words, they're making some money, but they had to tighten everything to make that money. And I think every company's going to have to do that. So I think you're going to see layoffs come here very quickly. Layoffs are going to continue to escalate. And another article by Michael Snyder, the Economic Collapse blog, 11 signs consumers are in very serious trouble. So we hit in the final stretch of 2013. Number one, U.S. renters are spending 30% of their incomes just on rent. That's a danger sign that rents have not come off, but incomes have come down. Think about the job pictures. I preach on this every time the jobs report comes out every month, the first week of the month, the first Friday of the month, and the first Wednesday of the month, we get the two big job reports. And I harp and harp and harp on those job reports and tell you the truth about them, not just the top line number, how it works, creating more part-time, less full-time jobs. Benefits have come down, so people have none. Incomes have come down. And so what happens is when rent doesn't come down as fast as the incomes come down, the rent as a percentage of income goes up without the rent even having to change one way or the other. And now U.S. renters are spending more than 30% of their incomes on rent. That's dangerous and bad. Number two, one food bank executive just told USA Today that she is seeing the worst rate of hunger in my career right now. People are literally starving out there. And here where I am in Grapevine, Texas, I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the mid-cities. I've lived almost my entire life, except for when I traveled for a job for a couple of years. But I've been here 45 of my 49 years in existence, and in this area, and I'm seeing homeless in the suburbs now where I've never seen it before. Just this morning, a homeless man at the QT down the street from me, and people were giving him food and stuff. I've never seen that in the mid-cities in this area of town before. Hunger rates are going up. More people are volunteering homeless shelters and at food banks. I've done a lot of that over the years. I'm not doing that right now because of the store and the timing, but I've done a lot of that. I used to do it every single year. And I can tell you, I know that hunger rates are going up and that the food banks are begging for food right now. Number three, Wells Fargo just shut down 13 bank branches in a single week. And Wells Fargo is in serious trouble, says Bank of America. Number four, average hourly earnings for all employees has fallen by 3.32% since Joe Biden entered the White House. Number five, due to lack of consumer demand, 3 different major Burger King franchisees have recently declared bankruptcy. Vice Media has announced to be laying off dozens of staffers. Challenger Grain Christmas, according to Challenger Grain Christmas, almost 20,000 media jobs have already been eliminated. Amazon is laying off hundreds of workers in its Alexa division. Citigroup, and this was big news in the last week, has decided to conduct large-scale layoffs. Large scale. The news out was that they would lay off thousands upon thousands of people, one of the largest banks. Federal tax receipts have been falling on a quarterly basis since the third quarter of 2022. 80% of U.S. households are actually poorer than they were when COVID pandemic originally hit the country, according to data. Most Americans are getting poorer, but the cost of living keeps going up. Why? Because of inflation. So just problems upon problems upon problems, and we've got more. I'm going to turn now to what went on with the BRICS emergency meeting, moving over to, I guess, a war update, if you will. I put this out on Twitter and got almost no response, and I realize I'm mostly a financial channel, but this is something you want to pay attention to. Finance, politics, economics, culture are all related. I've said it a million times. You cannot have one without the other. That's why it's called a political economy, and culture plays a large part in it. And right now, we've sent a bunch of warships over there. I'm going to summarize for you. We've sent a bunch of warships over to around the Gaza Strip area, and we have some pretty close in the Red Sea as well. And we have multiple carriers in the region, one immediately there, another in supporting role. We have multiple battle groups out there. We're sending supplies to Israel. And the rest of the world's taken notice, and there was a BRICS meeting recently. And it had China, and it had Russia, and it had Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. And it says here in the story, Chinese President Xi Jinping, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and other leaders joined United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres for an extraordinary meeting of the BRICS bloc of developing countries to discuss Israel-Hamas war. Think about the nations I just read to you: Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, United Arab Emirates. How many countries in that region that have an element of either Islam, Islamic culture, Palestinian residents, or just trade and do business with one another with close cultural and economic connections, in addition to two major world powers, China and Russia, neither of which the U.S. has been very friendly to, and they haven't been very friendly to the U.S., are all meeting, and they're basically saying it needs to stop. Here's what they said. During Xi's address, he urged an immediate Gaza ceasefire towards realizing lasting peace and security, according to Xinhua. He further asserted in the virtual remarks that without a just settlement, because they had a virtual meeting, on the Palestinian question, there will remain no enduring peace and stability in the Middle East, and I believe he's correct. He called for all parties to immediately agree to ceasefire and stop all violence, including attacks which target civilians. I've said that many times and been roasted on Twitter for saying stop killing innocents. Well, you can't, you gotta hide behind them, kill them all, like God. That's all I've seen, and I'm like, you guys are, not all of you guys, but there's a segment of the populace out there in social media that's just appears to be bloodthirsty and doesn't seem to care if innocent people are dying. According to a summary of Xi's remarks, quote, China will provide more support and assistance to the people of Gaza, is calling for humanitarian corridors to protect civilians. The root cause of the Palestinian-Israel crisis is that the right of existence and the right of return of Palestinian people have long been ignored. This is according to Xi's remarks. So China and Russia are taking the side of the Palestinians, apparently, at least to the extent of what's going on. And this could lead to war. The reason I'm talking about this could lead to war, and it could lead to tactical nuclear war, and that's why I'm talking about it. As we're heading into deep recession, the war drums are beating louder and louder. And this pattern that we've seen in history, about every 80 years, conjunctive wave theory, Neil Halsford turning, same thing. We see it coming to fruition. And again, it's a wonderful Thanksgiving week. I don't want to put Debbie Downer on everybody, but Jesus, we may be heading to a bigger war. I think that region could be heading to a bigger war. And my question is, what are we doing over there? Because we're going to get drug into this thing. It's not going to be a proxy war at some point. The shooting's going to start on both sides at some point if we continue to go down the road we're going. And that is an existential threat to our economy. It's also an existential threat to our own internal security and your security as an American citizen. That is a big issue going on, and it should not be ignored. And you can't separate that kind of stuff from economics, because it's based on economics. It's based on the right of people to conduct their own personal business and live their own personal lives, and how the world's sort of been chopped up over time and what conflicts that leads to. And I'm not taking side either way. I'm just saying the risk of the world going into a deep recession and going to war at the same time is escalating exponentially, not linearly, exponentially. Danger, danger, Will Robinson, big danger. All right, on to the gold and silver markets. This is going to wrap up the presentation here. I'm going to talk to you about the COT report. It's the only chart I'm going to show because you want to know what gold and silver is going up. I'll show you. Swamp dealers are not putting a lot of shorts right now on the silver market. They're almost net even. Longs and shorts, these two numbers that I'm highlighting to you now. The other reportables dropped their longs. Some of the non-reportables dropped their longs. There's a lot of reduced pressure on longs in the market. Pressure on longs and pressure on shorts in the market, net, as it's allowed the price to rise a little bit on silver. 1285 shorts cut by managed money. 237 cut by the producers. But look at what's going on in gold. Wow, for the first time in a number of weeks, the swap dealers have dropped shorts and added longs. This is a pattern they have for about 2 months, and then they just hammered the longs again and caused the price to go down. And now they're dropping some of their shorts, ostensibly to relieve pressure in their overburdened short position. We're seeing it at 217,000 contracts. There were 222, almost 223 before they dropped these 5,462 shorts. And sometimes you got to release the pressure on those big short positions to protect yourself from losing money. Because I think gold wanted to ride up regardless of what the bankers were doing. And so the bankers along the way are going to have to let off steam. They're going to have to release some shorts, let steam off of that market a little bit, let it rise a little bit, then come back in with fresh positions that give them more of a time frame as they rotate the positions to the next contract month. And I think that's all this is. They added some longs, and that's allowing the gold price to rise. You're seeing old data. This is as of November 14th. But that's why the pressure has been released from gold, silver, and it's allowing to rise right now. Is it going to continue? I have no idea. And the whole point of me showing this to you is that it doesn't really matter what's going on in the world. They have a lot of control over daily price movements. However, with all the risk going on, they're not going to be able to control it for much longer. If we break out into a war, I guarantee you gold and silver are both going straight up vertical. And when we hit recession, gold and silver aren't going to go straight up vertical, but they're going to take about a 45-degree turn to the upside. If past markets are any indication, past patterns are any indication. And we're headed into that. So those of you that hold precious metals, I guess a bit of good news, although the reason for the good news is not necessarily welcome, especially in this Thanksgiving week. But that's what's going on. The risk across the world is extremely high. The war is not limited to just Israel and Hamas. I've said this many times and been criticized, but I've been proven right. This is not just Israel and Hamas. It's not just two parties in that area of the world. It's never been that. And it's naive to think it was ever going to be that. You're going to bring the whole damn region into it. And then by proxy, half the fucking world. And missiles are going to launch from everywhere. And right now, we're already paying for the defense of Israel. We're already paying for the destruction of Gaza. The U.S. citizens are. Other Western countries are. And other Eastern countries are paying for the defense of the Palestinians. I wouldn't say necessarily the defense of Hamas, but the Palestinians. People are dying on both sides. There are a lot of innocents dying on both sides. It's horrible, and it's escalating. And what did I write in my blog a few weeks ago about my experience in college at the Masters? I went to this military called Project Military University, and I sat in the chapel and I listened to them talk about the start of World War III. And it wasn't this theoretical, it could happen someday. It was like, we see the world going this direction. That's where it's going to start. And one of the first areas they talked about was the Middle East. And one of the other areas they talked about was Europe, particularly Eastern Europe. And what do we have going on right now? And what is escalating right now? Now, you could say the Russia-Ukraine is de-escalating a bit as the Americans pull back some of their support. But the damage has already been done there. People have been killed. Ukraine's been decimated in many respects. Russia's gained a lot of land. There are hurt feelings on both sides. That's not just going to go away. That won't go away in the next generation. That won't go away in the next 100 years. Ask the people that died and their sons and daughters. The damage has already been done there. And it's been reported the U.S. is running out of certain munitions. They're going to have to crank up the war factories again. Going to increase the profits of the defense industry. But to get support over to Israel. So how does that affect our own defense? It's a boom for certain areas of the economy, I'm sure. but it's not nice to see people getting killed across the world. And it's not nice to see us being put in the middle of what could be the start of the next world war. And I'm warning. Bad stuff is coming. Bad shit is coming. And for those cheerleading to one side or the other, and I've been trying to be neutral. I've been supporting the fact of not killing people, and people think that I'm on the side of Hamas or the Palestinians, and I'm on the side of life over death. That's what I'm on the side of. And I'm on the side of let's not go to World War III. We can stay on the side. We don't need to participate in this. But the bloodthirstiness across social media has surprised me, to be honest. But this is what it leads to. And I think there are a lot of people who are probably very silently going to regret their current position on the Israel-Hamas issue if this does lead to a major breakout of war in the Middle East and then eventually to world war. I think there's going to be a lot of people look back and say, whoops, maybe I shouldn't open my damn mouth one way or the other. Anyway, not trying to lecture. I'm just saying I see what's going on. And I am trying to warn, not lecture, but warn over what this could lead to. And when the stuff hits a fan in the financial markets, people are going to be in a panic. What usually happens, wars break out. And you see it. You see it as clear as damn day. You see it. All right. That's going to do it for stories. It's going to do it for the report. A couple of housekeeping things. I am open this week for holiday hours. If you go to www.goldsilverpros.com, there's a banner that pops up that gives you the holiday hours. I was open a little bit compressed hours today. I will be open compressed hours on Wednesday. We'll be closed Thursday for Thanksgiving and the normal schedule on Friday and Saturday. I will be open Black Friday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. I will have Black Friday sales. I'll announce them on Thursday's video and on Twitter. We're going to put a lot of stuff on sale in the store. I'll do the best I can with sales. Prices are already so low and margins are already so compressed. There's only so much you can put on sale before you're either break even or losing money. But we'll do the best sales that we can. If you're interested in precious metals, again, I do have agreements with quite a few wholesalers that will drop ship anything to your door. So if I don't got it in the store and you want it, unless it's the only thing I can't get are specialty mint items. Like one of my friends was like, can you get me the, what was it? The John Wick gold coin. And I'm like, well, okay, there's only one mint I know that produces that. I can buy it the same cost you get. So no, you probably just order from them. But other than specialty items like that, I can get just about anything in small amounts or big amounts, and I can get it direct to your door at good prices. So just keep us in mind if you're interested. It really helps us out and do this free research. We can do that. We're also going to be expanding on Thursday. I'll be expanding into a new product line or related product line to precious metals that has precious metals in it. Hint, hint. On Thursday, we're getting the online store built out for that. And then we're going to be doing further expansion next week. I'm going to get into prepper stuff. So MREs and things like that, we're going to start stocking our store as well, because I think we're at the point at which if you haven't done your practical prepping beyond gold and silver, you need to do it now. I'm going to help you do that. So I've struck some deals with some wholesalers in that industry over the last couple of weeks. We're setting up stock in the store and drop ship directly from them to your door as well. I'm going to get you the best discounts I can on that. So stay tuned for that. So the next couple of weeks, we're going to be building out our product line a lot to help you guys out. The stuff that you're going to need. And I'm going to bring it to you as cheap as I can to help you out. I'm not just trying to make money on it. I'm trying to help people. Stay tuned to our social media for that. And on Thursday, I'm going to bring a very special program. I'm not going to do our normal data stuff. I'm going to do something a little bit different, but I think you guys will like it. Stay tuned that we're going to have something very special planned for that. Excuse me, which I'm going to do tonight to have it ready for Thursday. So I'll record that tomorrow and Wednesday. Don't worry, I'm not going to work on Thursday, and I'll schedule it for a Thursday release. So as you guys are done eating your turkey and watching football, and you want something to do, come to the Gold Silver Pros YouTube channel. We'll have a very special video for you. And you can watch out that throughout Thanksgiving weekend. And I'll do my Thanksgiving stuff all on Thursday, but I did want to wish you guys a happy and healthy Thanksgiving week. God bless all of you. Thank all of you that supported me through the sales or just watching the program or coming to me at trade shows or coming to the store and shaking my hand and tell me, how much I've done for you and helped you. That's why I do this, honestly. And I love to talk to you guys. Thank you so much. But again, we'll do all of our Thanksgiving stuff here on Thursday. Have a wonderful week. Until next time, this is Rob Kientz with goldsilverpros.com.